All right, I know it's a few minutes early. I just want to jump on and test audio and all that stuff because of the snafus that we had last time. So let's see what we got. So, and if you guys jump in early, go ahead and say hi. Let me know you're here. Ooh, I think I can hear something. All right, I know it's a few minutes early. Okay. Yep, we're good. So, I just don't like how that audio echoes. I think I don't know if I can change that while we are streaming. No. Okay. So we'll have to do that next time when setting everything up. Good. Good. That looks good. Unless. Can we? Ah, yeah, well, let me change while we're going. That's okay, though. So, about one more minute and we will get going. So, like I said, if you have jumped in, say hi. Just about there. Few more seconds. Clock will tone at 7. And it will be time to play. There we are, 7 o'clock. So, all right, let's get rolling. Hey everybody, Michael Batiste from the Elk Calling Academy, and welcome to Wapiti Wednesday Q&A just for you herd members there on the Patreon page. So you are the only ones that can see this. You have to have a current login there on elkcallingacademy.com on the Patreon page to be able to see this and access it. So we do have quite a few members. So if this is your first time, and if you're watching this on a computer, you can actually, click on the link there on the Patreon page, and it will open this up in a YouTube channel. This is an unlisted video, so nobody else can see it except for you guys. If you do open it up on the computer, what's kind of nice is you do have the chat over on the right-hand side that you can ask questions, make comments as we're rolling along. Now, if you're watching on your phone or a tablet, you still have the ability to comment and participate. What you'll do is down underneath the video, you'll actually see a heart and what looks like maybe a balloon. So if you click on that balloon, what that's going to do is that's actually going to take you into a new page that you'll have the ability to type in your question or type in your comment, and then as soon as you enter that, it's going to bring you back into the video. So just know that it does take you into a different page. So okay, so tonight I want to talk about kind of ethics and also kind of recap the season so far. So reason I want to talk about ethics is some things came up this past weekend. Saturday morning, got up and we headed to a closed gate. We were the first ones there. So shortly after we got there, a couple of minutes, we were kind of sitting in the truck because it was still kind of dark. Didn't really want to start heading down until, we had some sort of daylight that, we didn't have to go in with headlamps. But I looked in the rearview mirror and I saw headlights coming up. And so I said, we should probably jump out and get our packs on and get ready to roll. And the truck pulls up, didn't park right behind us. I mean, it was 20, 25 yards back behind us. So not right on us, but the individual got out and just started gathering their stuff. Didn't come over to talk to us at all. So while I was putting my pack on, I walked over to them and just started talking to them because I knew the area behind the gate. There's a lot of area back there, and there's a lot of different ways that you can go. And so I definitely wasn't going over to say, hey, we got here first, you need to go someplace else. So first off, with ethics, understand and know that area that you're hunting. If it's large enough for multiple hunters, it's okay. Just go talk to the individuals and get a game plan, and talk about each other's plans, so that way you're not boogering each other. And so I started talking to this gentleman, and he says, yeah, he goes, I was going to go, and then I was going to take the right fork. And I said, oh, perfect. I said, because we're planning on taking the left fork and then curling down and kind of hunting the flats right on top of the breaks there. And so, worked out well, and chit-chatted with him a little bit, and, found out that they had been getting into some elk back in there, and a couple of bulls had actually been, taken out of there. And again, like I said, wide area. Now, I also told him, too, that two other members of our party were looping around the backside, and they were going to be up on top, because where he was going to the right, it actually then you can access this great big old drainage. And well, I guess it's not that big of a drainage, but anyways, you can access a drainage. And I just let him know, hey, we have two other members of our party that are coming in this way that are going to be up here. And he says, no, he goes, I wasn't even planning on going up in there, so won't be a problem at all. And so we went around the gate, started walking down the trail, or it's actually an old road, started walking down the old road, and probably within about 150 yards in, we got into, I did a location bugle, and we got some cows that answered back, and so we set up and, was kind of working those cows a little bit. And wind just wasn't, that great. So we continued working on down the road, and we got back in there. We were about 3/4 of a mile at this point. And I let off a couple of cow sounds, and I was just getting ready to bugle, and I heard a mew. And I put the tube back down, was listening again to see if I could hear, and I went to bugle again, and I turned my head to kind of broadcast up the direction where I kind of heard that mew from, and I see somebody else walking down the road. And so walked up and kind of talked to him a little bit, and he said he talked to the first guy, and knew that we were coming left, but didn't know exactly what our plans were. And so talked to him again, and now the left fork that we took forks again. And so talking to this guy a little bit, and he says, well, he goes, I was gonna go all the way to the back and then hunt, and we weren't going that deep at all. So again, not a problem. And he was polite about it too, and he says, well, he goes, do you guys want to keep working down the road, or do you want me to blow through? And I have my 9-year-old son with me this year, and so I told him, I said, well, obviously, you're going to be moving a lot faster than we are, so why don't you just, go ahead. And again, I knew that we were peeling to the left up ahead a little bit, so where he was going was not even going to affect us. And a couple hundred yards down the road, the road split again. And, this guy was nice enough that he drew an arrow in the dirt on the fork to the right to let us know that's the way he went, which was great, because I was planning on taking that second left fork anyways. And so this just, those were two examples of, if you stay calm and you just have a conversation, it's amazing, what you can find out. And as it ended up, there was, two individuals, and then, our group, all back there hunting. But the way we communicated and spread out, we never really hurt each other. We didn't interfere with each other. And so that made it really, really nice. And so Now, mind you, if that if that gate went back to an area that is rather small, then no, that would be a case where you wouldn't all kind of jump back in there. Um, so if you get to a spot, if you know it's a trail or a road that accesses a small area, move on, go someplace else. But if you know that accesses a big area, go talk to the people. Say, hey, where are you guys going? You're here first. Where are you planning on going? Where are you planning on hunting? Okay, well, hey, you know, I was thinking about, I was, thinking about heading over this direction. That's quite a ways, from you. Are you guys good with, that? But ethics is just having those conversations. It's not just jump right on top of each other. Sunday, went to, hunt a different spot. Again, got there, in the dark, and we started hiking up the trail a little bit, and we heard a side by side come up, and I kind of paused because I wanted to hear what they would do, and they kind of sat there for a little bit and then turned around and left. So I would imagine they were looking on X because when we hiked out and headed back to camp, we actually found their rig, found their side by side, parked down on an old access road that it didn't go into the area we were hunting, but it kind of went by, and based on where they were at, I kind of figured out where they were going, which isn't somewhere that we were heading. So, but ethics definitely can be one of those things that, man, sometimes it's great interactions and experiences in the mountains, and while you're hunting, and other times it's just a thing of frustration. A thing that really leaves you shaking your head and just thinking, what the heck is wrong with people? So you can't control the actions of others, but you can certainly control your own actions. And it's also amazing, staying calm and just having a conversation with people. We got back to camp Friday night, and the people that were camped next to us, they had pulled out previous Sunday, moved their camp to another area, and so there was a new camp in there. And as soon as we got into camp, those new neighbors came over and started talking to us, and it was great because he really let go with a lot of information of where he was running into animals. So some of it I kind of took with a grain of salt because there was some things being said that just weren't accurate or true for the area, but hey, that's okay. So all right, so that is just kind of what I want to touch on with ethics. I don't see any questions or comments, and so we'll kind of roll into kind of the start of season recap. We're a couple of weeks into the season. Again, we're hunting a new area. We really haven't seen the elk numbers or the sign that we're used to. In fact, we're heading up this weekend, and we're going to do a Saturday morning hunt. And if we just don't get into the sign or the activity that we want, we're actually tearing down camp and jumping back over to where we have been the last few years. Our intent was to kind of come up and hunt this area just a little bit, just to kind of learn it, see what was there. It kind of gives us another option, from the other camp, to get up into there. But also too, it kind of plugged in some of the pieces of the puzzle of kind of some boundary areas that we have been hunting, and it just I was kind of wondering what it looked like over here, what the activity was like, what the elk numbers looked like, what the hunting pressure was like. You know, do animals get pushed from that area into ours, or from ours to theirs? And if they did get pushed out of our area, you know, where would they go? And so it was more informational gathering, you know, than anything. We have gotten into elk. We actually have found. And what's crazy is our first few days in this new area. You know, we're used to going deep in canyons and you know, high on faces, and and so we've been doing that, you know, back here. And it seems like the deeper in the canyon and the higher on the face we go, the less sign we get into. Um, you know, I actually found quite a bit of old sign, and so, you know, it kind of got me wondering. Okay, are these rutting areas? And you know, early on the bulls are here during the summer, and then they rotate out and they go down and they pick up their cows and then they come back up here, and this is some of the rutting areas, which it could be. Um, but we have gotten into elk. But what's crazy is we've been getting into them in lower elevations. In fact, we've got a couple areas that we are within 400 yards of a secondary road. Um, it's not a main road; it is a secondary road, but there's elk within 400 yards of it. But the thing that I found is, and I've talked about this in the years past, is very, very soft on their vocalizations. Um, Bulls really aren't bugling much unless they're in heavy timber, which really knocks the sound down. So even though they're only within 400 yards of this secondary road, because of the way they're behaving and because of their vocalizations, their sounds are not even traveling to the road. So people wouldn't even know they were there. But we've you know, gotten into kind of some of the areas that they've been living, and I mean, just tremendous amounts of sign and rubs and everything. And so I'm sure you're listening to me say that, and asking, okay, why are you switching back over uh, to where you're at? We have a really good area over there. I mean, you know, last year, a tough year, and we still got into, you know, 20 plus different bulls. The only reason, like I said, we kind of jumped over to this area was just to kind of connect some of the pieces of the puzzle, and learn a little bit more, have a good backup area, because it's always good to have backup areas, you know, in case a fire happens in, you know, your area and you do need to bump to another. So if you have that opportunity, taking a little bit of the time to go hunt kind of on the edge of where you have been, can give you, can open up the door. So, you know, if a fire comes in, it's not a catastrophe. You actually have an alternate backup plan that you have been in, and that you kind of know a little bit about, you know, where to hunt and how the elk behave and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, very, very soft on the vocalizations. Even the cow sounds have been very, very soft. Bull vocalizations, we really haven't gotten into real heavy bugling action yet. I've also noticed too that barometric pressure has been up over 30 quite a bit when we have been, you know, hunting the past couple of weekends. And you know, with my 9-year-old with me this year, I have kind of adjusted, you know, how we hunt. We don't travel as, you know, not going as deep, you know, adjusting a few things, and so. But yeah, we just haven't gotten into those big bugling action, and a lot of people that I talk to haven't either. And in fact, everybody's been saying the same thing, that it seems like, man, you really got to get on top of them before they really start talking. And you know, that's one of those things that have noticed that for, you know, the past several years. Which, you know, if there's wolves in the area, or you're hunting wolf country, that's pretty common. So that's something to keep in mind when you're going out, is instead of really blasting, you know, full volume, full vocalizations, you know, kind of tune that back. And in fact, tonight when we wrap up, we're not going to talk about a specific elk sound again. We're going to kind of talk about some calling tips on how you can lower that sound a little bit, so it'll kind of tie right into what I'm talking about right now. So, um, but yeah, definitely, last weekend, Saturday morning, got into a bull. He never bugled once. All he would do is chuckle. Um, but man, did he do some serious raking. And in fact, most of the responses that we have gotten have been off raking and huffs, grunts, and whines. Those are the two things that we have gotten the most responses on. Location bugles. Um, the weekend before season opened, got a couple of responses on location bugles. Um, I guess Saturday morning, yeah. I guess Saturday morning, one of the cows that responded was to a location bugle, but every bull vocalization that we've gotten back has been off raking and huffs, grunts, and whines, and so definitely something that you need to keep in mind and pay attention to. We've also gotten into some pockets where have bugled or have cow called, and there's been zero echo. And you guys have talked to, you guys that have been here a while have heard me talk about that. If you get into an area and you're bugling and there's no echo, move on. That's just heavy air. I've never really gotten elk to respond in heavy air areas like that. There has to be, just a little bit of echo for them to really respond. So the first couple of weekends for us, hunting has been slow. Last weekend, Knox did get to hear his first cow elk respond, and then also heard his first bull. Also, we're heading up Friday. This is going to be our long hunt. We're up there for 10 days, 14 days, something like that. He's not going to be with me the whole time. He's just going to be up there with me on the weekends. But yeah, this is going to be our long hunt, and that's another reason why we're kind of switching back over to previous area that we've hunted, because we definitely know the pockets for peak rut and how those guys behave. But the other thing I'm noticing too is I am starting to get reports that people are hearing bulls cracking off quite a bit more. They are starting to kind of show a little ruddiness, which that's pretty common for this time of year. Starting to ramp things up. Cows are starting to come into estrus. We're knocking on the door of the autumn equinox, and we're also knocking on the window of that peak rut time frame, where generally it's really peak rut. I know a lot of people were really not excited about next week just because it is going to be a full moon and a bright moon. But really, if you look at weather forecast, so far in the 10-day forecast from today on out, everything I'm seeing is either cloudy or partly cloudy, which means there's a really good chance that, that full moon is going to be covered. So you really won't have to deal with that. Now, if you do have a clear night, so what? You're going to have a short window in the morning, but your opportunity for midday activity is going to be tremendous. So, also too, there's a storm rolling in this weekend, and so you're going to have a pretty good opportunity Friday evening. Saturday, Sunday, it really depends on how much the storm hits, whether it's going to shut them down or whether they're still going to be really active. But man, Monday, as soon as that storm clears, partly cloudy, nice cool. Cold temps at night. I mean, mid to low 30s at night, and daytime highs are projecting for low to mid 60s. And so to me, it's perfect elk hunting weather. So just everything you could really ask for. So takeaways from the season so far is soft vocalizations. Bulls really haven't shown a whole lot of interest in anything. Whenever they do respond, it's half-hearted. That bull that was chuckling, last Sunday, we actually did call him in. Unfortunately, a misjudgment on yardage resulted in a swing and the miss for one of the members of the group. But those things happen. It actually, by the time we really got in and got on him, and when he decided to finally come, because we had to reposition a few times, and when all the pieces of the puzzle came in, man, it happened quick. In fact, really, one of the things was, he dropped his pack and wanted to move nice and light. But the only thing is when he did that, his rangefinder stayed with his pack. So, tip for you, if you are going to drop your pack and move, make sure that you have your rangefinder attached on you somehow, whether it's a bino harness with a rangefinder, or if you can't shoot with a bino harness, you could loop the lanyard of your rangefinder on a belt loop and just put it in your pocket. So, but definitely, make sure that you have that with you. So, the other takeaway is, elk are a lot lower this year, and I've heard this from several people hunting other areas. So, and it could be a remnant of, last year with a lot of people in the woods kind of change their patterns a little bit, change their habits a little bit, and kind of push them into areas that they hadn't been in before. So, all right, so let's get into the calling aspect of tonight. Like I said, it's not a specific sound, it is a tip. So now, to get soft, you guys have heard me talk about using your diaphragm. So in fact, if you go back to the very first instructional video where we talk about high to low and low to high, and we talk about using that diaphragm and your stomach muscles and your rib muscles to tighten down on that. Your diaphragm and pressing with that air can also be your volume controls. You can really back off on your bugles, and so they aren't max volume. And that's one of the things that you want to do. Also, the tip is, call from inside the timber. Saturday night when we set up, the first place we set up, it just had way too much echo for me. And so I said, I want to get a little deeper into the trees. And when we got into the trees and set up in calling, we actually had that bull that chuckles, right above us tonight. He was elevated and we couldn't move. And so he ended up, getting too dark, and he moved off. And so that's why we came back in there Sunday morning after him. And definitely it worked. But by getting into the trees and cutting that echo down, that really, really helped. Now, as far as your cow sounds, instead of mouth open and projecting, just close your mouth. You want to leave a little slit. Now, typically, we open up our mouth because we want to project, but everything I've been seeing and hearing, so the way I'm getting that real soft is two things. One, barely touching my lips together, I still have just a little bit of slit right there. But also, two, my diaphragm pressure. I'm not forcing a bunch of air out. I'm actually controlling the amount of air, because that diaphragm is also your volume control. You can really press down and force a lot of air out, which gives you a lot of volume. Or you can control that muscle and back off that airflow a little bit so you bring those tones down. So, or the volume down. So your tones are still there, just your volume is down a little bit, and that's a little bit more realistic than what I'm seeing right now. So play with that, play with your volume control, be nice and soft on some of the calls. Now, once you engage in a bull, especially this next week with rutting activity picking up, you will have the opportunities to ramp volume. What I would recommend, soft on the cow sounds, volume on the bugles when you know the bulls are giving you volume back. Match their volume. Okay, guys? That's all I got for you tonight. Let me double check here real quick before we jump out. Nothing in the chat, nothing on the Patreon page. So I guess we are going to wrap up for this week. So as always, guys, appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for jumping on tonight. As always, keep calling, keep practicing. Most importantly, though, have fun. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks on the next private Q&A just for you guys, hopefully with some success stories. Have gotten some success stories from you guys. Loving them. Keep them coming. All of you guys that have messaged too with questions and talking about situations you've gotten into. I love hearing your stories. I love hearing your triumphs. I love hearing your gains. Keep it up, guys. All right? Be safe out there. Shoot straight. Have fun. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a good one, everybody.